Creating a simulation and balancing act is easy. Start by clicking on the Create Simulation button. Give your simulation a name. Choose your language. And then if you already have a simulation and balancing act, you can duplicate if you want to start from that, or most people would be starting from scratch. Click on that and then click Continue. And then you're given a choice about whether or not you want to create your revenue categories or your spending categories by hand, in which case you would click this green button up here. Or a new feature that's pretty handy is to import using a CSV. You can download your CSV template here. I've already filled one out with a few categories, so I'm going to show it to you. This is a revenue import. It's got the 5 primary pieces of information that Balancing Act uses to simulate your budget. It's got the category, the subcategory, the amount. These are the only 3 that are required. And then it's got more info and more details. And so I'm going to go ahead and close that. And then we're going to pull it into the simulation. Okay. And then the first time you open this, it asks you to assign a general category so that we can do some macro analysis. And in this case, I'm going to go ahead and choose sales tax. And in this case, I'm going to choose property tax. Then I'm going to choose fines. There it is. And I'm going to choose fines as well for traffic. And then I'm going to say done. And it's created my 2 categories, taxes and fines on the revenue side, and each of those has 2 child subcategories, sales and real estate, and parking and traffic. Now, if I wanted to, I could go over here and I could edit what I just did, or I could click over here and I could change the question type or do some fine tuning. But for the sake of time, I'm going to go ahead and go to spending, and let's go ahead and import the spending CSV as well. And so I'm going to pull that in. That should just take a moment. And the categories that I've got are police patrol. So I'm going to call that police. And then the next one is police detention. So I'm going to categorize that one as police. And then I've got parks and recreation and parks and recreation. Typically, you'll have maybe 8 or 10 categories with maybe 15 to 30 subcategories. In this case, I've just pulled in 2 categories and 4 subcategories total. Let's take a look now at how you can customize these a little bit. So if I went to Police Patrol and I click on the Edit button and say that I very much like what we've got here, this is terrific, but I'd like to add a picture, I can go ahead and click that icon. And then I'm given the option here, let me move this down so you can see it better, of adding a picture of a police cruiser. And say that I want to add a hyperlink. It's a very easy thing to do. I go ahead and click on that, and there it is. There's a hyperlink right there. So now I'm going to go ahead and save this. And so we've just augmented the text that we've pulled in through the CSV with both a picture and with a hyperlink. Let's say that we wanted to ask a different type of question than we would than the standard plus minus. So if you are a subscriber to our custom package, you can click here and you can go to convert to scenario questions. There is also the option if you want to make some changes to the way that people interact with the standard plus minus questions, you can add some things here. You can lock it. You can put in an alert, which is just if you want to let people know if they do a certain thing that that there's a consequence or a constraint. This one allows you to adjust the percentage that it adjusts by, or to have it adjust by a dollar amount and to set that dollar amount. And then the boundaries down here allows you to put in some floors and ceilings so that you can say you can't go above this amount or you can't go below that amount. So I'm going to click done on that because we're going to change this to a scenario question. And so we're going to give it a name just for reference. This is for our reporting. So I'm going to call it, this is the subcategory is recreation centers here. So I'm going to call it rec hours. And let's go ahead and make a service level question. So the question would be, should the hours of the rec center be expanded? And we'll go ahead and put in an optional text here. We'll make the first one no, and we'll have that one be the default. So we'll check that down there. And then you can add another option. And we'll have this one say yes, into the evening. And let's just say that that would cost $60,000 for a year's worth of keeping the rec center open a little bit later. And then you could also put in additional information here if you wanted to. For the sake of time, I won't. And then you scroll down here and let's provide another option. Let's say yes into the morning and put in a dollar amount there. Let's charge a little bit less for that one since maybe it'd be fewer hours. And then we could have a fourth option that says yes, both. And let's assume some economies of scale by doing that. So let's just go ahead and put in maybe $55,000 for that one. Okay. And then we've got our scenario question. So the next item up here in this horizontal menu is exit questions. And so by default, Balancing Act provides 5 options that you can ask: age, gender, zip, email address, and address. I'm going to unclick those 2, and then I'm going to say let's require zip code, and I'm going to make zip code come first. And then if you are a subscriber to our custom package, you can create your own question, and you can have it say really whatever you want it to say. So in this case, let's say, what is your favorite city service? And you can choose how you want to structure the responses. By default, it's text, but you can have long text, email address, or drop down. And so I'm just going to leave it as text. And then here, CSV, I'm just going to have this say fave serve, just so we'll know where those responses are supposed to go. And once you've got your exit questions, you can go to settings and you can review some things that you've already done. Our language is English. This allows you to do a budget adjustment if you need to. For some reason, you need to add in a plug number to make everything balance. You can put that in right there. These next 3 allow you to comment on categories, so that would take away that commenting button. This one would take away the social media sharing if you uncheck that. And then this one, if you click it, you would be allowing residents to submit an unbalanced budget. And there might be instances where you'd want to do that. Most of the time, we think it's useful to have residents have the same constraint that you do, which is to submit a balanced budget. Down here, budget description, we're just going to say first draft. And then we have 2 places to add some optional text. The first one would go right underneath the submit button, and the second one would go right underneath in the footer. And so I'm going to just plop some text in there. I've actually written some or copied some that we can plop in here. And I'll just plop that in, and the footer one works in the same way. You've got controls up here. We can add a picture. You can add a hyperlink. You can do headline if you want, that type of thing. It's all meant to be pretty easy and self-explanatory. You can add numbers or bullets, bold, etc. Okay, let's take a look at the good work that we've just done. So I'll go ahead and hit preview, and the preview screen comes up with just our simplified budget. You've got your balance bar here, you've got your spending here, donut chart with that shows the revenue, or the spending, and then you've got your revenue down here. We didn't do anything to these. We left these sort of plain vanilla, but you can see how everything works perfectly there. We did a couple things to police, so let's take a look at that. And I think we added a picture here so that you get a little bit more of a sense of what's going on with police patrol. And then we also added a hot link there. And then we also created a service level question for Parks and Recreation that asks a question, should the hours of the rec center be expanded? And it says no, yes, into the evening. And with each of these, it clicks in a way that corresponds to what you did. I'm going to say no here so that we're back out in surplus, and then we can see what the submit looks like. And so it's asking for postal code, age range, gender, and then it wants us to free text in what your favorite city service is. So that's how you set up your simulation in Balancing Act.